Look, John Stone was, in fact, a former coalition senator for the Nationals. John Stone was also, I believe, one of the most distinguished heads of Treasury that we've ever had. He wrote a terrific piece in The Spectator, Australia, about the dilemma that many Australians tell me they have. We don't like Malcolm Turnbull, we don't like the treachery, we don't like the drift to the left. What do we do instead? Well, John Stone has some ideas. It's good to see you, John. How are you?
Well, Andrew, and thank you.
John, first of all, I get pestered a heck of a lot when I take talkback on my radio show by traditional Liberal supporters who have had it up to here with the Turnbull government. And they face this dilemma. They don't actually want to vote Labor. Where is this anger, first of all, from coalition supporters like you with the Turnbull government? Where's it coming from?
Well, it basically comes from the fact that last September we had a political coup against a Prime Minister who had, after all, won a huge, massive electoral victory only 2 years, or less than 2 years earlier. And people felt that the conspirators had betrayed category as the Labor Party. You can sack people simply because you happen to have the numbers on the day.
So there's also, I think, a concern, isn't there, with aspects of a sort of drift, a fear of a drift to the left. For example, it's exemplified by the war on the superannuation funds of the so-called rich.
Well, it's even wider than that. I think that in addition to the point that I was making earlier, the fact was that the man who replaced Tony Abbott, namely Malcolm Turnbull, is not a real Liberal, never has been. Anybody wants to know that, go and look at the website stopturnbull.com. And I think what you might call conservative with a small c Liberals feel, and I'm not talking about party members, I'm talking really about people who traditionally vote Liberal. They feel that Malcolm Turnbull, if given his head, will take the coalition parties to the left, and indeed in a very small way, well, a number of small ways, he's already begun doing so. But he's held in check at the moment because of an election coming on, and also because the National Party, wouldn't go into coalition with him without signing him up to some promises, at least, that he wouldn't break.
But John, wouldn't you accept, though, despite everything you're saying and this anger, that there is the fact is that Labor still is worse than the Liberals, right? Before we get onto your voting guide, let's establish that Labor is worse than the Liberals. True or not?
Yes, that's true, and it's no part of my suggestion that we should have a Labor government. What I would ideally like to see, Andrew, and let's see this in a way anticipating perhaps what you'll be asking me about, is that the Liberals suffer a very significant loss of seats to the point where finally they have to face up to the fact that Malcolm Turnbull is not a leader of a centre-right government. He never will be, he never could have been, he never will be. And in that case, there will have to be a change of leadership.
Well, let's dream on. I don't know whether I'm seeing the traction in the marginal seats that would indicate such hope as you possess yet towards Labor.
Say hope. I didn't say hope. I said my ideal outcome.
Okay. Okay. Well, look. Let's explain, if you could explain your rules of engagement. So, for all the viewers watching who are disaffected Liberals but still can't bring themselves to vote Labor, what are your rules of engagement?
Well, the first thing to have in mind is that this coup last September was not in any way the result of anything the National Party did. Incidentally, although I was a National Party senator, I think you introduced me as that, or coalition senator, you said, I was only there for 4 years, and really only because I had to become a member of the National Party in order to become a senator. Let's not talk any longer about that. But, so the first thing is, if you are in an electorate where a National Party person is standing, vote National. You can't go wrong in doing that. The next thing is, next
No,
rule.
Barnaby Joyce is a good Conservative. That's fine. We're safe there.
He's a very
Next
good
rule.
Conservative. He gave a very good interview, incidentally, I think, Chris Kenny on Sunday night, showing the sort of thing that Malcolm Turnbull is incapable of doing, by the way, cutting through with plain, straightforward language which people can sign up to. But again, let's not go into that. That was rule one. Rule two, obtain a list of the 56 people who last September 14 actually betrayed as I say, what were thought to be the principles of the Liberal Party. You can get that. I think you put the website on your blog. I forgot what it is now, but anyway, you can put it up again.
Put the full list. Put the full list up just for you, John.
Okay,
it's on the blog right now. People want to have a look at it. The 54 that voted for Malcolm Turnbull and the 2 that would have had they made the meeting.
Correct, sir. Correct, sir. So if your local member is not on that list, then that's fine. You can vote for your local Liberal member with a clear conscience. But if, and this is where we come to the crunch, if your local member is on that list, then you have to put that person last. And when I say last, I mean last. Not halfway down the ticket, because in that case, it's very likely that the preference, because it's a compulsory preferential system, in that case, your preference will eventually probably flow to him. So put that person last. You want these people. These 56 people all have what I call the mark of Cain upon their foreheads. They're your targets.
Okay, all right. Let's, John, now apply your theory.
That's rule two.
Now, rule 3, you come to the Senate. Now, listen, for ease of explanation, you're in Sydney. I have got a little graphic of the likely coalition Senate ticket for New South Wales, Liberals and Nationals, headed by Defence Minister Marise Payne and Turnbull confident Arthur Sinodinos. Now, how do you recommend disaffected Liberals in New South Wales vote in the Senate?
Well, both Marise Payne and Arthur Sinodinos voted for Turnbull. So they're on my list, my target list. They've got the mark of Cain upon their respective foreheads. You do not vote for them. You exclude them, I should say, first of all, under the new rules for voting for the Senate, you should vote below the line. It's easy to do, will be easy to do. You only have to name 12 in appropriate order, 12 people. So, and the main thing is, your 12 should not include either Marise Payne or Arthur Sinodinos. They are people who should be got rid of. Now, the number 3 on the list, I think, is Fiona Nash. She's a National. She's a deputy leader now, and a very good
tick.
A very good person too. She comes in, you vote for her, you give her number 1. John Williams, Wacker Williams, another National, he's I think on number 5. You give him a tick at number 2.
Tick.
Connie Fierravanti-Wells, a Liberal. You can probably just manage to vote for her, although she's not altogether clear. Not altogether a clean conscience on the matter.
Well, she voted for Tony Abbott.
But she did vote for Tony Abbott.
Exactly. She told the biographer Nikki Sava that she'd passed on the false rumour to him that he'd been having an affair with his chief of staff, and that was extremely damaging. So that's a very qualified yes, then, isn't it?
It is a qualified yes, but it is a yes, nevertheless. I vote for her, for a third vote for her.
Okay, good on you.
After that, I think there's some woman called Holly Hughes, who's a sort of a ring-in, put in there by Mr Fatius, who's this fixer somewhere in the Liberal Party New South Wales division.
It's a disgrace, mate. It's a disgrace.
I wouldn't vote for her. I wouldn't give her a tick. I mean, apart from anything else, she managed to, because of this, she squeezed out a very good man, who would have been a very good senator, General Jim Molan, an absolutely outstanding candidate. But that's by the way again.
Brilliant. Yes, it was a scandal, a scandal. Once again, that fixer, Michael Photius, had his fingers on that decision. But John, here's my problem, right? We're fantasising, and we're both driven, in fact, by a deep disquiet about the level of treachery involved here, the disloyalty, the bedwetting, the whole thing that went into toppling Tony Abbott, yes, and the drift to the left. And we're both worried, should Malcolm Turnbull be elected on July 2, he will be let loose and free, and the Conservatives have nowhere else to vote for. I accept all that. But is your strategy just revenge? Is it really good for the country? For example, the Liberals today said there's a $67 billion hole in the Labor platform over the next 4 years of spending promises and savings they're blocking. Isn't that the real worry?
It certainly, as I said to repeat something I said earlier, I'm not wanting to see a Labor government. What I do want to see, however, is a sufficient reverse for the Liberal Party in this election that the members of the Parliamentary Liberal Party will wake up to themselves and realise that they did the wrong thing last September. That doesn't mean to say, by the way, that I'm suggesting they bring Tony Abbott back. If they chose to do that, that would be fine as far as I'm concerned. In fact, it would be very good. But what I'm really saying, they need a new leader.
Hang on. John Stone, thank you so much for coming on and giving us your theory. I don't know whether it's going to work, but I greatly appreciate you at least giving some of us an opportunity to vent. We'll see you around next time.
Thank you, Andrew. Good night.